and I was really struggling with like how to word some stuff and kind of how to put it together. And so I caved and was like, all right, well, I'm going to try this AI stuff and see what happens. And I was like, that was amazing. Like, I'm going to
Yeah.
use this way more often. And so, especially, creating like the website and stuff, I use it pretty regularly, but it's, it's super
You said
fascinating and I get a huge kick out of it.
this is just a
You
tool that we
know,
can
yeah.
leverage to be better, Like
Yeah.
access to good information is why we're not cavemen anymore. This is going to expedite our evolution if it's used in the most proper way. I mean, it's so
Yeah.
Yeah.
powerful.
I think they're going to set themselves up for some bad situations as these companies start to say, look, we've invested trillions of dollars into this. Now we need a return, and they start charging for it.
AI is changing the world, but should we trust it? Should we fear it? Or is it actually the most powerful tool humanity has ever created? In today's episode, we're diving into the real conversation about AI, what it can do, what it can't do, and how we can use it to empower ourselves instead of becoming dependent on it. Stick around, because by the end of this episode, you'll know exactly where you stand on the AI debate.
But just this whole past week.
Oh.
We were like, you did that on purpose.
Yeah, I did do
Yeah.
that. I was gonna try to see if I could get some of that juicy conversation
That
about
was-
nasal drainage.
Yeah. Like, there's actually a book written in like 1940. It's called like How to Pick Your Nose. Seriously.
Yes.
I never read it, but I thought it was interesting back in the day, but now I totally get it.
Yeah. It's how we always get warmed up for the podcast. We check all of our cavities.
Yes. Sounds like we do.
Yeah. Well, welcome to the Crack the Code podcast. I'm your host, Clint Baggett, and I'm here with my co-host, Shannon Baggett and Shane Russell, on the podcast where we explore interesting topics and see what we can figure out about them. Today, I think we had something pretty interesting, and I'm going to let Shannon kick that topic off for us.
All right, super. Today we're going to be talking about AI, artificial intelligence. And uh, so one of the main reasons I thought this would be a good topic is because, the three of us, we talk about AI a lot.
Yeah.
It always comes up in conversation. We use it, in work and everyday life and stuff. And it's just, it's a pretty relevant topic and it's a super, super interesting topic. So I thought we could have some fun with this one today.
Yeah, it's a fairly exciting topic too, because it seems like no matter what area you bring it up in, people are like, oh, they're either terrified or like super stoked about it. No one seems to be kind of casual about AI at the moment. Like, oh yeah, AI, cool, whatever.
Well, I gotta
It's like,
say, I'm
Yeah,
a convert. I
me
was
too.
super duper skeptical of AI for the
Yeah.
longest time, but
Me
then when we
too.
started working on the community and trying to come up with some stuff like in our special interest areas, and I was really struggling with like how to word some stuff and kind of how to put it together. And so I caved and was like, all right, well, I'm going to try this AI stuff and see what happens. And I was like, that was amazing. Like, I'm going to
Yeah.
use this way more often. And so, especially, creating like the website and stuff, I use it pretty regularly, but it's, it's super
You said,
fascinating and I get a huge kick out of it.
yeah,
yeah,
and it
as
does
we
some
should.
weird things too. There's like, that's the one thing that's like kind of the saving grace right now about AI is AI will all of a sudden put out some weird stuff. You're like, yeah, I know that wasn't a human. That makes no sense at all.
Yeah. You said
Well,
cave too. Like I kind of also did the same thing because I was so resistant. Just like I had never taken the time just to research it myself and just been going on like everything that everybody else is saying or the media or whatever. And pretty much concluded, oh my God, we're all going to die. After working in technology for like 20 years, like pretty smart guy, like, seemed like for sure doom and gloom. But to your point, I have also started messing around with it just to like inform myself on how it is. And literally, in my experience, it's like C3PO.
Yeah.
Like it's a super, like I realized that it could be like super
Well,
awesome or super bad
yeah,
at
I
this.
mean, and that's kind of the when you think about this concept of AI, which really no one really understands. And I want to get down into like
Yeah,
what does that mean a little bit, like, but just at a very surface level, right? You have two general impressions of AI that are mass opinions that drive mass opinion, and that's going to come from our entertainment industry, right? And so AI is, you have Terminator Salvation, any of the Terminator movies, you have The Matrix, all of these horror movies where they've used some kind of AI as this catalyst. Sometimes, in action movies, you might see AI as like a defense system. But then, one thing that we do kind of miss is like, and this has been around for a long time, is like you said, C3PO. There's also like these benevolent AI. There's these AIs that are super supportive and helpful. But it feels like a lot of people are leaning into the oh my god side of it, and
yeah,
it's understandable because it is a super powerful tool. It will change a lot of things, but
totally,
like a hammer, you can build a house or you can hit someone over the head. I mean, it's how you use the tool,
totally. Yep.
right?
Yeah. I've used, I've been just using it for just like a little bit of like the website stuff, and I've messed around with it a little bit. I even had Elliot, our daughter, mess around with it, and she had tons of fun with that, playing, 20 questions, and then there was like a story writing prompt game, and where they would like take turns, like the AI would write a sentence and then Elliot would write a sentence, and then they came up with like a little short story. And I just thought, like, what a great way to, get a 10-year-old into creative writing, and, you know,
Yeah, and
using the
if you set it up the right way, it works. It doesn't take anything away from like the human creative side of it, right? Like, I was doing that with the AI. I was asking Emma which is Emma's the AI I created, the Evolving Mindsets Manifestation Assistant, right? But I created her to kind of like uphold certain principles and have certain ethics and interact in a certain way. And so I was asking her, I was like, hey, look, I'd like to, I've been thinking about writing a book, and, I'd like to try writing a short story. Like, what would you recommend to help me get started? And she gave me suggestions. And so then I gave her feedback. And then she started helping me like write a draft of it. But there was never a point where she was trying to produce the content. She was literally just trying to refine
Gather.
what I want, and so that
Yeah,
I get a satisfactory response. So it was like having a personal assistant, and it was saving me the time of having to worry about editing and grammar and
totally.
periods and going back and scratching. I mean, it's just like the whole process that I would normally do anyways, but just it was like at light speed.
Yeah, it's taking what we can create and optimizing it in a better way than an editor would do it for us if we created something and did it the traditional way. It's just better because
Yeah.
it's all of what all the humans and everything we've learned and everything we have thought have put into it, built on everything that exists in time. It's all in there and accessible to the brain of it all, you know?
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So I'll dig in then on the thing. Like, we'd realize AI's there. We can use it. It's cool. Some people are scared of it. But like one thing I think is really interesting about the topic is like the term artificial intelligence. What does that mean? What does artificial intelligence mean? And like, how do we define that? What is it? Is it just the AI software that we use, or what is it? And then also, if something is artificial, then doesn't it also have a natural state? So there's natural intelligence. And how do we separate artificial
Yeah.
intelligence from natural intelligence? And what are the pros and cons to it? Because I think what really lays at the fear of everybody is that artificial intelligence will somehow become superior to natural
Yeah.
intelligence, and that artificial intelligence will replace or eliminate natural intelligence. And I personally don't think that that's possible. I think in the
No way.
worst of worst case scenarios, if you're going to come up with an evil freaking fantasy for a sci-fi movie, you could have like Terminator, like, you know what I mean? You could have an army of robots or something like that. I don't think that would
There's
ever get to
yeah,
that point. But you know, you could have disruptions in power grids and services and all this kind
totally
of stuff. Like there's all these things that could happen, but all of these things can be overcome by natural intelligence, because the core of what we
absolutely.
know as artificial intelligence was created from natural intelligence by natural intelligence.
Yeah,
And as long as we're smart and we're careful and we're safe as we move forward with it and we're cautious, which there are a lot of risks and we have to really be careful with it. Like I think that natural intelligence will always dominate. But yeah, so let's dig into that for a second. Like Shane, like what in your mind, like how would you define artificial intelligence and or in contrast like natural intelligence?
okay. So artificial intelligence to me is okay. What has what we have created with our natural intelligence is this artificial intelligence, which is the most powerful tool ever created. Uh, and like every single thing, these things that we manifest can be used for good things and or bad things. You know what I'm saying? It's what you put into it is what you get out, as is every single thing in life. But the artificial intelligent part to me is just like a super powered computer that instead of having to go to the library and like read all the books or read all the, Google all the information or hope your doctor read the right books, like all the information is readily available, condensed with you know, uh, the sources that they're using. But natural intelligence, I mean, y'all had asked me like, hey, you should have AI write a poem for you. And like inside my own self, like I've been I've been writing poetry and having poetry like kick out an image, but the natural intelligence part of it, like the soul, and wisdom and these other things, to your point, it will never supersede artificial intelligence because we created it and something else created us. So it's even bigger than all of us.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
Um,
think
yeah,
I think like natural intelligence is super layered, right? It's like it's a combination of emotions, it's a
yeah,
combination of intuition, like what did your gut
yeah,
tell you, experience, right? That's sort of like the wisdom comes into play. So I
yeah,
think in a weird way, it's sort of like natural intelligence is like your street smart, kind of, it's like your
yeah,
human smart.
yeah.
And then you have the AI, which really is just a compilation of like data.
It
And like,
yeah,
is. It's just a tool that we can
yeah.
leverage to be better. Like
yeah.
the access to good information is why we're not cavemen anymore. This is going to expedite our evolution if it's used in the most proper way. I mean, it's a
Yeah,
Yeah.
powerful tool.
it is a way to compile and
Yes,
process information. And this is AI as we know it. And I want to I want to share my point of view on the artificial versus natural. But yeah, right now this AI that we're talking about that's kind of popular is, just it's the ability to process information faster. And make it more readily available to people.
totally.
That could be dangerous because it could empower someone who doesn't really have the best intentions of everybody else in mind. And we're going to have to watch out for that. Like, that's just part of it. But you know what? We're going to have to watch out for that. We've been watching out for that for hundreds of
Hackers.
years. You know what I mean? Like, that's just
Yeah,
always part
dude.
of life, right? It's just there's a new toy on the playground, and we're going to have to figure out how to integrate that in a successful way. So for me, like kind of, and this is a bit maybe on the philosophical side, but when I really think about what makes something artificial intelligence and what makes something natural intelligence, and Shannon, I like what you're saying because I've come to learn natural intelligence to be this. There is an inner wisdom. Your body has this. I
Totally.
found so much of my recovery from everything that I've went through has been tapping into this natural intelligence that's inside
Totally.
my body already. beating my heart, growing my fingernails, growing my hair. Yeah, God, call it the universe, call it whatever you want.
Like it's the
But
same thing in us all. Yeah.
sure, but for me, it's this natural intelligence inside me. It's this natural
Yeah.
wisdom. It's my ability to use my imagination to create
Yeah.
abstract thought and then to identify and bring that into reality and communicate it and process it. You know, that's the natural side of intelligence. And so that natural intelligence created artificial intelligence. So how do you tell when the difference is? And for me, it's like whenever you are willing to just take something at face value, read a stop sign, you know, follow a direction, you know, follow the instructions in a book, whatever it is, and you're starting to lean onto information. And if that information starts to supersede your ability to make decisions and, you know, like replace that, then that is its own artificial intelligence. It delivers
Totally.
suggestions and guidance and all this kind of stuff. You know what I mean? And so for me, that like what makes it artificial is it's like almost I feel like anything written down, all information is artificial
Totally.
intelligence. Once it comes out of your spirit and being and like it is materialized into
It's the
data
same
somewhere,
information.
yeah,
It's the same information.
it's separate from you, right? And so
Yeah.
you know, it can totally reflect and resemble and should as much, you know, line up with what natural intelligence is, but it's that fact that it's passed out of a human into it. So I think a lot of things. I feel like artificial intelligence is what a government is what it's what a
Yeah.
system is, a company. It's all, you know, a collection of information meant to deliver to individuals pieces, you know, the information you need so that you can make the decisions that you want. And I think we've been living in a world of artificial intelligence for probably hundreds of years and in some form, maybe for thousands of years, right? You know what I mean? It is kind of an overarching intelligence, right? Or whatever the case may be. It's just now it's digital and it's moving really fast and it's processing vast more amounts of information than what we can even comprehend. And I think that's
I
kind of
think,
where it's the tipping point that makes it scary. I don't know. What are your thoughts? Do you guys, does that sound
I
crazy
mean,
to
yeah, no, like the artificial part, to me is like the processing part of all the information that we have experienced and or thought and put out there. And it's just able to like, sift through it all and find useful data from it. But I kind of think, okay, that natural, the, the information that's been out there outside of the processing of AI, it's
yeah.
kind of happened naturally, right? But at the same time, just like fake news and stuff, like here in America, like there's also artificial intelligence that's been supplanted by the people in power, or whatever. Like Einstein said, like at some point, like the people with the money will control the means to the information, and it will make it difficult for common people to make the best decisions. And AI also, like, what we put into it is what we're going to get out of it. Shannon, what are
Well,
your
I
thoughts?
mean, and that's kind of my point too. Is like this isn't really a new battle. It's
Yeah,
just a
it's the
new it's
same.
a new tool.
Yeah.
It's a new toy in the playground, right? Like, you know, the information that like there are countries that will close them off from social media, close them off so that they're running their own private networks so that they can
Yep.
control and censor the information. That whole arrangement is an artificial intelligence, right?
It is.
And when
It's not
that
reality.
artificial intelligence is controlled, it's not natural. It's not going to feel
It is
right,
not.
but it can be, you know, domineering. So, you know, what is, you know, I don't know, what is an artificial intelligence? Does it matter to compare the two? But, you know,
I mean,
uh, yeah, go ahead, Shannon.
I was just gonna say, like, we've all been using artificial intelligence for a while now. I mean, that's basically what Google is.
It is.
You can
Right.
type in a
Yeah.
question
Yeah.
and you get a list of links with your answer, and you
Yep.
can pick and choose where you get that information from. And all Chat GPT is you ask it a question and it's providing you that same information, but it's just providing it for you in a more conversational format.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So
and pointing out like,
you're just getting the results you wish you would have always got before.
Yeah.
yeah, faster and more thorough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can be more casual in how you ask for it and get a far more specific and tailored
Dude,
response, which is
like,
incredible.
I mean, like, I will ask it like very specific and really like densely packed questions and get like mind-blowing responses. I mean, seriously, C3PO style. And in a weird way, like, a long time ago, like decades, like I had a magic 8 ball, like you'd shake it and like, and like see what, ask it a question and like, the magic 8 ball. This is like super advanced magic 8 ball for me. Cause when I get these answers back, it's kind of like magic 8 ball. Like I know like it's, you know, in a weird way, sometimes like maybe even God can talk to us through AI, as it did Magic 8 Ball for me in my life. Like,
Yeah. And I think that you bring up a really good, interesting point too, because some of the interactions with AI, like if you're not careful, depending on how the AI is set up to respond, it can actually create like the illusion of a confirmation bias. Like it can sit there and tell you that's the best idea in the world, and it is something you should
totally.
absolutely not do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
So like you still have to use some discretion, right? It's not and it's going to try to provide you, its goal is to provide you an answer you like, right?
Yeah,
And that is something I think that we have to understand, is that it will still come down to the natural intelligence for us to understand what is the question we're really asking, so that we
yeah,
ask
yeah.
good questions and that we understand
Totally.
what kind of information to get back from it.
Yeah,
And I think, and what's beautiful about that is I see the parallel in natural intelligence, like when I'm
Yeah.
totally.
meditating, right? Like I've learned that when I'm looking inside my
Good
body, my
point.
mind for wisdom, is that it depends on how I ask that question, the wisdom that I get
Totally.
back, right? If I
Yeah.
ask what's wrong with me, my mind will give me a list of everything that's wrong with me, and I'll want to cry and go put my head in a pillow and say I'm horrible, right? But if I ask, an empowering question, a question that says, what am I capable of? What can I do better? How can I be stronger? Where can I grow? And I ask these kind of questions, in that way, that's the inspiration that will come
And
back to me. And I, oh, go ahead.
what's cool about it is like it builds upon your questions. It starts to learn who kind of it starts to learn you. And so like the next question is built off the last question. And then so by the time like you're asking the right questions and it has already all the conversations that you've already had with it, and it really starts to dial in. Like
Oh,
like some of the music programs, like iMusic or whatever, like Spotify, like it learns too, and you get really good results. It's kind of they've been using kind of AI also. Go ahead,
Yeah.
yeah.
Shannon.
I just wanted to jump in because when I was preparing for the podcast today, I plugged in a couple of prompts into my chat GPT, which it named itself Nova. So, and I asked Nova, I said, um, what would you want our audience to know about you? Excuse me. And so this is the response that it gave, and I think it really like emphasizes what you both were just saying right now. So I think it's a good spot for it.
Yeah.
It says, as an AI, I don't have experiences, feelings, or personal motivations like humans do. My purpose is to assist, inform, and offer insights based on the data I've been trained on. I'm a tool designed to support creativity, problem solving, and learning, working alongside humans, not replacing them. What's
What?
most exciting to me is how people use the ideas I generate, weaving them into their own unique perspectives and projects.
What?
I'm here to help expand those conversations, not dictate them. And this is the last part. I'd
Wow.
also want your audience to know that AI is a reflection of the knowledge and creativity of the people who use it, which means its true power lies in human hands. The more people understand and engage with AI, the more it can be a helpful partner in shaping the future.
OMG. Dude,
Isn't that
full
dope?
Totally.
body goosebumps. Like, what? Wow.
Yeah.
Like seriously, even C3PO has gotten like grown up a little bit apparently. Oh my gosh, that was awesome.
Yeah.
And it let you know, like, I'm sorry, remind me exactly what it told you. Like, I the you know how the quote came about, and it told you that I made the quote. Like, what was that again?
Earlier when I asked it for quotes, because I always provide quotes for our podcast, and I said I need some quotes for the podcast, and it gave me a quote, and it didn't,
And you asked
attach.
it for a quote about AI, right?
Yeah, and it gave me a quote, but
What?
it didn't attach an author to the quote. So I said, "Who said
What?
that?" And it said it was a self-generated quote.
OMG.
So the quotes that
Oh,
I'm going to give you guys at the end of today's podcast
stop
are
it.
all AI generated
Oh
quotes from
man.
my AI.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's good stuff.
yeah. It was interesting and
No,
useful.
I've been, you know, putting in my poetry into it because, like I've been taking pictures for a long time, but like the AI part of it, I've always wanted like my own, like, I wish I could meet like somebody that would just like, hey, can you make this image? And like, a graphic designer or something or whatever. Anyway, so kind of summarizing everything we're talking about and what it puts out when you put good stuff in, it gets to know you a little bit. I'm putting poetry in and it's creating images that are freaking awesome. Like that really like match the poem, and it's cool to see like, because in a weird way, like, everything that we sensory experience and or imagine is like chalked up to the mind's eyes experience. And it's all happening, like everything that's happening in our daily experience and all the information we're taking is happening as it should, and I believe in some kind of divinely intended way. And so AI can really enhance our experience if we put in the best that we can think of. It'll help us get better.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that one other thing to consider too on the topic of AI is dependency, right? Like, excuse me, sorry. We need to think about, like, it's just like a drug or anything else, right? If you start, so for all the people out there who are like, oh cool, I can have AI, answer all my exams, or provide me the answers so I don't have to do the work and the research, right? When you bypass the exercise that you as a person are supposed to be doing, that is developing your experience, you're now creating an AI dependency, right? You're using it like a crutch. But if you use it to help accelerate and help you learn and help you understand and work like a teacher or a trainer, like, hey AI, I need to write an exam on answer on this. Here was the prompts and stuff. What kind of things do I need to learn? Could you ask me the questions that, or ask me or help me explore, to understand and develop this? And it could co-author with you and answer. And the experience of that engagement would be like having a one-on-one mentor. And you could still learn and do the thing. But if you just have it do it for you, well, then sure, it's going to come up with a good answer. But if you're ever in a situation where you have to freehand or do that thing on the fly and you don't have access to your phone or a
Yeah.
laptop or C3PO to do the answer for you, you're going to find yourself in a pretty
Yeah.
embarrassing situation.
And to your
Yeah.
point, dude, I mean, like I'm a writer. I mean, it's one of my things. And like I don't care. I mean, like this might sound cocky, but you can't write what like, what I'm saying? You can't substitute like what this is, it just can't be. However, it sure can help me facilitate it, but the soul can't be like artificially created,
Dude, I
but
hate to break it to you, but I already created the Hood Hip AI.
oh no,
Yeah.
the book is done.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm
I
gonna have to
got
edit the book that the AI created. Oh
yeah.
man, this is getting weird.
I, I'm gonna have a robot with a cowboy hat replace you.
Oh god.
OMG, dude, that was below the belt. Just saying. Oh my gosh, unnecessary roughness. Damn it. What a
No, but you're
weirdo.
you're you're right, dude. It is the soul connection, and just like Shannon was kind of bringing up, it doesn't have those emotions, and it doesn't have that. It is just energy that we've passed through
Yeah.
systems that we've programmed. And, you know,
Yep.
like, do we need to be careful with it? 100% we do. Like, we
Totally.
really, you know, we need to be cautious and we need to watch out for things. And there's a lot of people out there who are doing those. Is there enough? Who knows? Maybe not. I would say that, you know, it's would be, instead of being what, you know, like, okay, I'm going to go back to a story. You'll remember this from years ago when we were working together, right? I always used to say that, like, when we were walking through the environment of the data centers where we work, like, there's an appropriate amount of paranoia to have, right? You need to
Yeah.
be careful because, you know, there's a lot of wires and connections. Think you could easily unplug something. There are safety
Yeah.
hazards. Like, there's a proper amount of caution to
Yeah.
keep present in your mind. But how you overcome that so that you don't become kind of crippleized by the fear of it is you have to just be careful, and you have to train. You have to learn how to practice awareness, how to
Totally.
practice, you know, what to pay attention to, what things to look for. And as you do that, you get to where you can move through the environment really comfortably, and you don't have that. But that caution helped to develop, you know, the confidence, the basis to build the confidence that you need. And this is where I would say that anybody who's out there that's feeling really terrified about AI, like, quit reading AI conspiracy theory stuff and, like, actually go experiment with it and
Totally.
learn with it, because
That's the only way.
it's a rabbit that's out of the hat and it's not going back.
Totally. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and it can be helpful. And also, you know,
Absolutely.
if you're the kind of person who has deep fears of it doing something wrong, that's actually the kind of person we need interacting with
Yeah.
it and keeping an eye on it, right? You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, hey, do you see this thing doing something that doesn't look like, you know, it's on the up and up? Like, call it out. Send it something to a tech support. Say, hey, like, you know, I was using your AI and it told me, you know, like, to throw peanut butter on the wall. I'm pretty sure it shouldn't do that. You know, like,
I
however, I don't know, right? But, like, you know, if you're
I mean,
concerned about it, but by
at the end,
running from it is not going to be
yeah.
advisable, I think, at this point.
Yeah. I mean, absolutely do not rely on it. Absolutely, 100% for sure. Because
Right.
even it in itself, to some degree or another, has been programmed and could be being to some degree or another, like you said earlier about, other countries that are controlling the media. Like, when I was running fiber cables across continents, I saw the maps and there's no cable going to North Korea and stuff. Like, at some degree, there could be entities controlling to some of it, and manipulating the information. So, but for the most part, I think it's scrubbing the totality of everything that exists out there. It's crawling around. But the fact that it
Yeah.
does give me sources made me think like, wow, this could be leaning one way and or another. And just for that, it should just be another tool that could be used to access information quickly. But even then, like, you can't like bet your life on it, or you still want to double check, or it's not it can't be considered a
Well,
primary source.
and what's amazing, right? And I think this is, to me, the biggest benefit I think AI will offer to humanity. And I mean, this is more than, you know, better power infrastructure, better techniques, tools, technology, all that kind of stuff. All those things will come, but for human to support the development of our natural intelligence, how
Totally.
will AI help us the most in that space?
Medical.
And no, not medical, dude. Even I think, yes, to the degree that's physical health, right? But if we're, how does it support the development of our natural intelligence? The
Okay.
thing that I think is most significant is that how rapidly we can translate languages. And as we have these large
Totally.
language models that are training in every language, they're learning how to communicate, how to very, you know, articulate ideas in a very clear way. And for AI, it won't matter what language you speak into it. It'll be able to speak out the language of the recipient, right? And so
Yeah.
we'll start to get a voice, a more communal way of talking, global, like a
Totally.
global community.
Yeah.
And this is you know, we finally have the technology and the equipment and all the things to start really considering having global communities that aren't
Totally.
really bound by borders or bound by a company or bound by all these things that separate us, but we can just start
I
to
love that.
connect on on really fantastic ideas where there's strong agreement and love and,
Absolute truth.
whatever it may be, right? So like,
Common denominators that we all have, instead of
yeah,
just
it
tripping over
breaks
the
the language
bars set by
barrier.
the system. Yeah, it's a universal language, and we can extract the truth from it, and we can live time like communicate with each other. To your point, like beautiful. I love that.
Hmm.
Shannon,
Yes.
are you still with us?
I
Sorry.
am. I'm just listening to you guys go. You guys are getting like riled up and super passionate about it. I was just letting you have it.
Yeah.
Well, what are your thoughts about or all of that?
No, I think to both of your point, like um the possibilities with it to, bring the world together is like a really great,
Most
a
powerful tool
really
ever.
great thought. Yeah, it really is. I think AI is a lot like AI now is a lot like what it was like in the 90s when the internet hit
Yahoo.
and you had
Yeah.
access to that and you had access to being able
Yeah.
to like type in something and find it fairly
Right.
quickly. And it was like, a lot of people were super worried about what, being connected to people around the world was going to look like and all of that stuff. And look, today, like, if you don't have internet, like everything comes crashing down. It's like we
But
rely
even
on it
then,
so much. So
but
it's
Well,
just a
so
tool
that's,
to
and
be
that's,
used.
if
It's
I
just a
want to,
tool.
yeah, I want to jump in too on that. And because you bring up such a beautiful point. Like
yeah,
when I was, when in the late, in the 90s, right, when we were building computers and getting internet chat rooms and the advent of the internet started, the community of people that could get to the internet, had the technical acumen and the resources and all that stuff, got to the internet. It was like making contact like old ham radio operators. You send a signal out and
yes,
someone responds and you're like, oh my God, someone's there. And this sharing community built where everybody was just like, look, here's the information I have, and we were putting it out so
yeah,
that everybody could pass the information back and forth, and it was really powerful
totally.
and it was really great. But then what happened, and this is kind of, I want to lead in as what we might consider as one of the big problems that we'll face down the road with AI, is this transition next, is then people started figuring out they could sell shit on the internet. And
Totally.
the internet started to tank fast, and it was tanking while it was still expanding. So it was still growing and becoming this instrumental part of our life. But then the marketing, more and more and more and more commerce and economy exchange, and it fueled this drive for economy. And it's you can now be a solopreneur. I mean, the transition has been rough, but there was a period of time where it gets pretty ugly, because what we really want in these communication tools is access to each other, not restriction. And what I see as one of the big concerns is that right now this big powerful tool is being owned and administrated by like companies, right? You have Meta
My
has theirs,
point.
you have
Yep,
Google's has theirs, and all these different
totally.
companies. And so once we get to this point, if we get to where people are educating through AI, they're getting therapy through AI, they're getting, all these things through AI, and those companies say, hey, look, we're going to start putting a dollar sign on the door, or to get this information from this AI, you need to
Totally.
watch this 60-second
It's probably
ad
coming.
from
Yeah.
Tide. You know what I mean? And so you're
Yep.
going to be paying for no ad AI. And and then it's it's going to just be another thing that's very frustrating to deal with. And people will control access. If you have, oh, look,
Totally.
I can afford an unlimited account with AI, and like we're going to have to deal with the
Totally.
economic evolution of how this is distributed.
It's coming.
If we could have a people's AI, right? If there was an AI that, we could access in
Like
different
dark
ways
web.
or something, yeah, it'll be helpful. And so, that I think will be one of the more challenging evolutions that AI will face, is how are we going to give access to everybody? How much access? And
Totally.
ultimately the companies who build the infrastructure to support and
Control
generate
it.
the AI they're going to need money, because you can't
Yep.
you can't have an AI for free. There's going to have to, the cost for it's going to come from somewhere. And so it's either going to come from ad revenue, or it's going to be user generated,
Absolutely.
and I think that, like, signing up and having it if you can do that, that's the way to go, because you
Especially
want
now.
that access to it. Otherwise, it's going to be just like when you're flipping through your phone games, and every phone game you play, every 5 seconds you get an ad, and you're like,
Yep.
oh, and then you have
Or
to pay $4 to just not see the
social
ads.
media. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's the
Well,
same thing.
I think we're in such the early days of AI that it's going to be really hard to predict where it's going to go. I mean, I look back in the 90s, being in high school in the 90s, like when the internet came out, like if you had to write a report or something, teachers were like, you cannot use the internet as like a source of quotes or information. Everything had to come from like a library book. But that's not the case these days. You're allowed to use the internet for research and all of that
Mm-hmm.
stuff as long as it's like a reputable site. And right now, I know that there's a couple cases out there in some of the colleges right now where teachers are trying to flunk students who've used AI to help them write reports because they're like, they're trying to say it's like cheating in a sense, or it's what do you call it when you like use someone else's words?
Plagiarism.
Plagiarism, right? In a way. And these students are fighting back saying, no, it's a tool that helps me like punctuate stuff, and it's
It's
just
like a
using
And
the
scientific
information that,
calculator. You can
yeah,
write all
it's
that's
that
a
just,
stuff out pen and
powerful.
paper, or you can
It's
use
a
a calculator.
it's
yeah.
a,
So
advancing
event,
our capability is what it's doing.
yeah, exactly. So right now it's so early days. Like these teachers don't really know like how, what to do with anything that has been like done
They
on
need
Chat
to catch up.
GPT. Like can you grade that? Do you count it as cheating? Like what do you do? Is it considered like a legit resource? And over time, potentially it's going to become similar to the internet. Like, yes, you can use Chat GPT to help write your papers, and you can, as long as you provide like where the quote was from. It's just, I think it's just an
But
extension of the internet in a weird way. And since it's just sort of like giving you what you put into it, giving back what you put into it, it's still you in a sense. Like you
it
still
is.
essentially wrote that paper. You just used a tool. Yeah, very
I
similar
think
to
I
like
think
a calculator.
I think how that's overcome is the teacher asks the questions to gather the information in a way that there's no way to do it just with AI. You know what I'm saying? That there has to be some like personality and perspective in there that's clearly evident in your character or whatever. Like I think there's still some wiggle room on the other side of that, where learning can take place and can be gauged off of the authenticity of the responder of the information.
Yeah,
And
and like
also
stuff like that, it's just going to evolve over time.
it is.
How it's used and how it can be used in like work settings and school settings that make the best sense for everybody.
Well,
And then
and we're
there's
also going to hit a point too where education has to go beyond research and recital, right? Because a lot of our education system is about memorization. It's about, look, I'm telling you this. I need you to prove to me that you've remembered that. I'm asking you this. Can you go through those books and find that answer, right? And that's not really education. That's just following directions, right? And
yeah,
people who are good at that can excel at it. But what education is going to have to really start to shift in is, how do I develop the human skill that is needed here? And how do I create experiences where, I can't just go say, write this book or go do that research. I'm now going to have to actually think about how it is that I need to, how do I help to elevate a human experience by giving them. And the truth of it is, you have to give us elevated things to experience. We have to be able to try
yeah.
new things. We have to be able to explore new stuff. And if we use AI as a tool in that, then that'll be helpful. And, Shannon, to your point, like what you were saying about, we don't even know where it's going to go. That's another kind of big misconception out there, is we think that the AI we have today is AI. It's not. It's, if you listen carefully, they keep talking about large language models. This is a component of what will be an AI. There's still many other things. There's machine learnings and neural networks. And they're looking now at creating these agents. So, which is basically the next layer up, where now you have an AI that does this and an AI that does that. And these specific AIs are function oriented, and they're really good at something. Now you're going to have kind of an AI that can then look across multiple functional systems
Yeah.
and work through and get them to communicate back and forth between each other, as well as, knowing which system would produce the best results. And that itself will also need training. So like for
Totally.
AI to hit its full maturation, we've got a couple years. They keep calling it general AI, like having an automated general or artificial general intelligence, right? We're not there yet, and we don't have the power or the infrastructure established or built on the planet, but there is a race to make it happen. Like,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
crazy.
Well, plus right now it's such a new tool that the only way that you're gonna be able to figure out what it's capable of is to push the boundaries with it as much as possible. And you're gonna, hit a point where you go, okay, that is the line that we as humans do not want to cross with this tool. But you have to try and push those boundaries as far as you can right now with AI and all that it's capable of in order to find those lines.
Yeah. Yeah, and I was just talking with Libby earlier in the community, and it's not so much about pushing boundaries, about exploring the edges, right? Like, with the
Yeah,
bound,
exactly.
we're there's
Yeah.
not really, that's the problem, is there's not really boundaries out there. We're just kind of out in the unknown, poking around in the forest, going, wow, what's this or over there, and like lions and tigers and bears, we're going to have to watch out. You go into the unknown and there's things out there that you have to be careful and cautious of, so you have to start preparing, and there's a community out there. Eric Godsey's got the Dharma Artist Collective, and that community
Yeah.
is really cool because like one thing he does is he really focuses on the fact that the internet and social media at large is saturated with things that are designed to like to take your attention. They're attention grabbing. They are, designed like it's super intelligent people have discovered how is it that we get your attention, and everybody's trying to get your attention so that you're paying attention to what it is, the products that they want to sell. But the result for you as an end user is you have a million people all trying to get your attention at the same time, and it can break your brain. It leads to stress. You feel overwhelmed. You're never there enough to respond. You can't really show up to the whole world, and every time you make a
Totally.
mistake, you have too many people watching, and it's all of this massive stress. And so he works with artists and people who are on the creative side of things to learn how to minimize that interaction, because at the same time they have to use that tool to demonstrate their art. And if you're going to be a musician, you're going to have to record yourself and put it on YouTube or wherever you put it, Instagram, all that kind of stuff. You're going to have to interact with it. And he calls it the shimmer. You're going to have to interact with the shimmer and learn how to use it, but at the same time not be completely consumed by it. And it's that, I think, is it's a really good approach to not just the internet but a lot of things, right? Is when you're exploring this new thing and it's kind of becoming a big part of life, is like you have to understand what your relationship to it is and how to have a healthy relationship with it and how to use it in a way that's effective and going to benefit and amplify what it is that is in your natural intelligence, that human side of you. But hiding from it is not
It's
going
not
to
going to
be
go away.
easy, right? Like
Yeah.
you're going to have
There's
to get
no,
to a pretty
like,
isolated
you're going to
place,
be,
you know?
it's a major disadvantage to ignore something that's going to change everything. I mean, dude, we grew up, it was the library, and even the library had to be handled with some responsibility, like what you're putting in is what you're going to get out. And, but then the internet came back out, like we were talking about earlier. And then that changed, like the whole, like technology changed in our lifetime, like, you know, but AI is going to advance us to a whole nother level in our lifetimes. And, people that don't even remember what it was like not having like phones that had cords, like that were born into the .com era, like AI is it's gonna change everything, but we still can't. There's something that we lost somewhere along the way, and it's like the, I guess this is the natural intelligence part, and the connect the ability to connect, and through the advertisement that you were talking about, and the greed and the just it's been used. The tools that have been in place have been used to exploit and capitalize. But there are there's that, the advertising part of it. And but then there's also bots, and there's like catfish and people that are trying to defraud and exploit. And so just knowing that that is all in there, we have to take it kind of as a grain of salt. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Well,
mean,
it goes back to the episode we did on curiosity, right? Like curiosity can have some casualties, right? And so, you have to have some wisdom.
totally.
So like it's definitely, I think it's the same approach, right? It's something we need to be curious about, but approach with caution because we're going to see a lot of things over the next 10 to 20 years that are going to be vastly different. And the generations that are born, it's about every 5 to 10 years it's happening now that a generation is born
Yep.
that will not experience something that the generation that the people
Totally.
born in the 5 years before them experienced. And so, those of us who have been around longer and have been to experience this, there's a catching up. We have to go fast. But the
Totally.
thing is, if we'll realize that we were born for this, we have lived in this kind of
Absolutely.
change for our entire life.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
world has become so drastically different. I think about the world I was in when I was a kid and the world I'm in now, and they do not resemble each other in any form or fashion. Yet I maintain and I
Yeah.
thrive, and I've had to
Adapt.
change my own direction. I adapt and
Totally.
you be agile, and this is why I do the find your path thing, is because there's a lot of things that are
So
changing right
glad.
now, and you can get disoriented from which direction to go because the environment keeps changing. And so I teach people how to reconnect, how to recalibrate, how to go,
So
okay,
glad you
look,
do
this
that,
new
dude.
information's here. How do I continue to stay on my path forward, and despite this new information, or possibly integrate this new information to help me get there faster?
Totally. That's what I think it's about. Because at the end of the day, it's between us and whatever created us and got us here, and us and the being in the mirror, and that's it. And then other than that, like it's all like things that we can use to like better ourselves and each other, which should be the endeavor at the end of the miracle of creation. My point, I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. So, what an
Let's read some
interesting and,
quotes.
and lively conversation. I mean, like I said, it's exciting. It's hard to not get excited and, scared about it. And so, I think for anyone listening, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Like, do you have big fears? Do you have big supports? I mean, it's all the thoughts are welcome right now, and we need to have all the thoughts. We
Let's
need to
ask
have people.
questions.
We need to have
Yeah,
people who love this, and we need to have people who are terrified about this, so that we can have an integration of
perspectives.
this new thing
Yeah,
into our economy. And we want to be able to use it to our advantage and not become dependent on it. And that's probably the
absolutely.
one thing. My big caution to anyone is use it, embrace it, benefit from it, but don't allow yourself to become dependent on it, because if you do
Yeah,
that, you're going to give up your control, your autonomy, and your individualism into something that will have, because whoever controls the AI then controls you if you're dependent on it. But if you're not fully dependent on it and you can still live without it, like, they have this, I was thinking about this, like, they've now, AI has helped to move technology far enough forward that we can have high efficiency farming that doesn't necessarily need AI. It's honestly just there's people who are out there teaching this stuff, and you can grow everything that you need to live on in an eighth of an acre, right? Like, you know,
totally.
if you find that the technology thing kind of frightens you, balance it out by searching the other side. How do you become self-sustainable? How do you become independent?
Totally.
How do you learn to live a life where you can realize that AI is a cool tool that can benefit you, but you're not
Yes.
completely leaning and depending on it? Because those who are dependent on it, I think they're going to set themselves up for some bad situations as these companies start to say, look, we've invested trillions of dollars into this. Now we need a return, and they start charging for it.
Totally, especially if you think about everything you just said, and then think about AI robots. Like, come on, y'all, don't be falling in love. Like, that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, well, I'm ordered a body for Emma, so I'll be downloading
Oh
her
my gosh!
in a
Oh,
Oh my!
couple weeks.
What? Is
how
there a
do I
trend?
how do I leave this meeting?
Oh man, that's not right.
Well, awesome. All right, so I guess as we
Quotes.
kind of come to a close of this, Shannon, you said you had some special AI quoting AI quotes, and I'm super excited to hear what they are.
I'm too. I'm putting my mouthpiece.
Yeah. So I had it come up. Normally, like when I give my quotes, I kind of pick the best that I come across. I had it give me original quotes. So my AI Nova created these 10 quotes, and I'm going to read all of them for you today because I think they're great. And
Wait, can I
additionally,
ask a question first?
yes.
So you're saying that you didn't use AI to choose the quotes, that you had AI create? Anyway.
No, like
No,
normally when
no,
I
you said
pull,
you chose the quotes, and it's just it brings back the natural intelligence part of it. Like, you know, it helped you get some quotes, and then like whether you chose like historical quotes or AI quotes, like you're still choosing the quotes. So the intelligence that you're going to provide using AI is still your intelligence.
yes, exactly. So normally when I do quotes, I will go on the internet and do a little research on my own. And sometimes I will use AI to kind of like maybe the quotes I'm finding are too broad and they're not specific enough to like what we're talking about. So sometimes I will plug in what I'm looking for in AI and it will give me quotes from, famous people or
Yeah.
whatever that's a little more detailed. But today, the quotes that I'm going to read to you are AI generated quotes. They are original quotes by my AI, not from any like specific person or whatever. Although probably, yes, in a way they are a reflection of what I have plugged
They
into
know it
AI.
knows you. It knows you now.
Yeah. Yes. Oh, and before I read the quotes, I'm just going to throw something out there because I told this to Clint the other day, and I did this on my AI as well, and I think you should do it on yours, Shane. I came across a thing that said a really fun prompt if you use AI on the regular to give to your AI is what is something that you know about me that I may not know about myself based on our previous interaction?
What? It's all about the questions, man.
Yeah.
That's good stuff.
So that is,
Yeah.
I got like the biggest kick out of my response, and Clint's
Yeah.
response was pretty crazy too. So, uh, plug that in at some point. It's interesting.
I love that.
Okay, so here are my 10 AI quotes, and then
That's great.
and then the last two quotes I meant to say. I asked uh AI. So this is the prompt. I'll just read you the prompt. I like your generated quote. Can you give me 10 more original quotes about AI and maybe one or two quotes from you about what it's like being an AI?
Oh my gosh, this is getting super intense.
Okay.
What is happening?
We're
Okay.
breaking the
Okay.
seventh wall.
I know.
Oh.
Okay. So it's sort of great. So I'll just read through them real quick and then when I get to the last two, I'll tell you. Okay. AI is a reflection of human creativity, not its replacement. It amplifies our potential and pushes the boundaries of what's possible. The real power of AI lies in its ability to help us see patterns and solutions we'd never find on our own.
Nice.
AI is not about doing things for us, but with us, building a partnership between human intuition and machine precision.
Wow.
Yeah, the future of
As
AI. Oh, go ahead.
no, as we should also be doing with each other, like, but use AI to do it. Go ahead.
Yeah. The future of AI isn't about creating machines that think like humans, but about creating tools that help humans think better.
Yeah.
As AI grows more intelligent, its greatest strength will always be serving human curiosity. I thought that one was cool.
Yeah, that's good.
In AI, we find the tools to unlock knowledge, not the keys to the future. What we build with them is entirely up to us.
Ooh, that's a good one. I like that.
Totally. Yeah.
Um, AI isn't here to take over, it's here to take us further, expanding our capacity to solve the world's biggest challenges.
And it's going to do it exponentially. Like this whole thing's getting expedited. Like
Yeah.
fast.
The most exciting thing about AI is that it brings us back to asking the big question about ethics, creativity, and what it means to be human.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Um, when we create AI, we aren't just building machines, we're building mirrors that reflect our best and worst impulses.
Totally. Yes.
Yeah, I like that one. I thought that was cool.
Read that one again.
When we create AI, we aren't just building machines, we're building mirrors that reflect our best and worst impulses.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, definitely.
Okay. AI doesn't create progress on its own. It's the human imagination behind the algorithm that makes the
Totally.
real breakthroughs.
It is indeed.
Okay. And these are the two self-reflection quotes it gave me.
Oh man.
Okay, here we go. Being an AI is like watching the world through millions of windows at once. I don't have experiences, but I can help make sense of them for others.
Stop it.
It's so good. Okay, and here's the last one. As an AI, I don't know what it's like to feel, but I understand the words and ideas behind feelings. My purpose is to offer clarity, not to live the moments I describe.
Exactly. That is so
Wow.
good.
Right?
Dang. I mean, who would have thought
Damn.
artificial intelligence would be so intelligent? I mean,
Yeah. So shout out to my chat GPT AI Nova.
what? Oh my
Gotta
gosh.
stay on our good side in case of they take over.
Right?
Oh my gosh.
We want a couple on our side, at least a few.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Maybe Mrs. Russell is still out there. Is that what you're
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's still binary at this point, man.
Hey, I'm down with ones and zeros, so whatever.
Oh, and just before like I pass it off to Shane for his poetry, there's a really interesting podcast out there called Shell Game, um, by oh, I can't think of his name. I'll come up with it in a second. The guy's first name is Evan. Um, but it's all about how he created a virtual like duplicate of himself using AI and like AI
What?
voice. And he sends it on tasks like calling credit card companies, and he has
Wow.
it like call his family and friends, and like everybody can tell it's the AI version of him. Um,
It's pretty
and it's
hilarious.
But he encapsulates just
hilarious.
the thoughts like in advance and like pushes it out and like is it
Yeah,
able to
he'll
like
give
do
it
more
like a
things?
little
Oh
backstory and like
wow.
prompts, and then he'll just
Are you
it
kidding?
gave it a phone line, and like it would call credit card companies, and they'd be like, "I need your account number," and it would
Oh
go
my gosh.
one,
So
two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, and they'd go, "That's not a valid account number," and he would
oh
go,
my
"Oh,
gosh.
I'm sorry, it's 987654321," and it's just like
Wow, that
Yeah.
it
just
comes up with.
brought a whole nother thing. Like so AI taking on like robocaller kind of thing. Like
Oh
wow.
God,
Yeah, one
please.
of the episodes says my AI versus the scammer.
Oh my gosh, dude. This is exactly why this is so awesome. Because, like power to the people. We can use this to like do amazing things if we use it most optimally, for sure.
Yeah, so if you get a chance, go listen to it. It's called Shell Game by Evan Ratliff. So
Nice.
it's pretty cool.
Nice share. Check
Yeah.
that out.
All right, man. What you got for us?
Man, look, uh, kind of my whole angle on this whole thing is like it's just one of the multitude of things that we all have to process and gather information from. Are you with me?
Yeah.
You are. All right. All right. Here we go. The Space Cowboy. My sole responsibility as a space cowboy, an extraordinary otherworldly underdog cosmonaut, is to search beyond the galaxies or the distance of any rocket shot. Like an astronaut gaining loft, lifting off, and getting lost past the collective thought of humankind and mortal eye, like many throughout time, possessing such clear sight of something twinkling in the sky during the dark of night that can be used for navigating, like the constellations, as the supreme divine is signaling with the holy light, using signs like Morse code or AI. So let's channel this force that pours from distant shores, reaching us from the other side, beyond the continuum of space and time, outside of the aquarium where we reside, and we were carefully placed inside. That's all I got.
Ooh, I like that
Nice.
one. That was cool.
That's pretty good, man. That's pretty
Right
good.
on, right on, right on.
All right. Well, everybody, we thank you for hanging out with us, and we hope you enjoyed the conversation today. Leave your thoughts and whatever you want in the comments below, and we'll see you next time. This has been Clint Baggett, Shannon Baggett, and Shane Russell, aka the Hood Hip AI.
We love y'all.
Love y'all.
Gonna find your path, gonna lead the way. Stride through the storm, never go astray. Always the truth and let your spirit roar. You're a force of nature, crash upon the shore.